Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a candle review for Kringle Country Candles, Here Comes Santa Claus. Now the Country Candles, this is one of the 6 new fragrances in the core lineup. So they also have a section of like holiday country candles that are limited edition. The limited editions generally don't get restocked once they sell out. There's 2, I believe, that are sold out right now. So unless they, find some lying around or you live close to the store, they potentially will have some left in the store. But every once in a while, they'll stick a few more on the website when something sells out. But for the most part, not going to be replenished. The country candles in the core lineup, however, like this one, this large jar right now at the time of my filming is sold out. They do still have the medium and they have the wax melts and daylights, but I do expect the large jar here to kind of come back in stock at some point before the holiday, season here really officially kicks off. Oh, well, it's really kicked off already in my house and probably for a lot of you based on the pictures I've been seeing online. But yeah, we're not at Thanksgiving yet. I do expect to see the large jar come back in stock. So I'm still going to review it because it's still relevant. Unfortunately, the country candles don't come in the 3-wick format, and I've seen a lot of you kind of talking about that lately, wanting to see some of these country scents in the 3 wicks. I'm with you guys, so here I'm going to just throw this out into the universe for the candle gods. I think there's a lot of people who would love to see that, so in the future maybe we will. Can't make any promises, but yeah, just throwing that out there. I would love to see it. So, but getting back to this one here, for those who don't know, I am a Kringle Candle ambassador, and I was gifted this candle that you see here, as well as several others in the holiday lineup to review for you guys, and I've been kind of working my way through those. After this, I think I only have 4 more left to review for you guys out of all 13. There is an end in sight. Thank you guys for sticking with me through this. I've never reviewed this many candles, at once before. So we're making good progress here finally. And, I really appreciate you guys. I do want to throw out there one little bit of housekeeping. Today, so I'm filming this Monday morning. By the time I have this uploaded this afternoon, Monday, today is the 18th, I believe, there will be 3 more of the 4 wicks being loaded to the website. These are reserve 4 wicks. So I think it's, is it juicy strawberry or fresh juicy strawberry? Then there's fresh baked bread and vanilla rose cone. Those reserve candles are now going to be available in 4 wicks. So if you're interested in those, I think it's noon today. So by the time I upload it, they should still be available. And as well as the jelly donut that came out and macarons recently. So there is some reserves in the 4 wicks. There's a few regular, I think 9 fragrances of like core scents in the 4 wicks. Let me know if you've picked up any of those, how those are doing for you. I've been hearing, kind of mixed things a little bit. Some very happy, some having a little bit of trouble with discoloration. And I just want to throw this little disclaimer in there because in my review I talked about doing a longer burn, but I just want to be clear, when I'm doing those longer burns on those, I am trimming my wicks partly through that burn, so around 2-3 hours, giving those wicks a trim, and I think that has really helped me avoid that sort of discoloration. So just keep that in mind if you are picking up those 4 wicks. The reserves are in a black jar, so that probably won't really be as much of an issue. You can't really see the wax that way, but yeah, if you're picking up those like clear jar 4 wicks, keep that in mind. I don't want you guys to have any problems with that. So if you're going to be shopping those, you can use my code Simply Scented. That will get you 15% off. And I always want to take this opportunity to thank you guys for that code use, because I do make a small commission off of that, which I use to kind of keep this sort of channel content going. So thank you guys for that. And if you have rewards, I think those will work on those specialty jars like that as well. but I don't believe the other coupons out there right now have been working for those specialty items. But I mean, you can always try, you never know. But yeah, rewards and ambassador discount codes like mine. So I will have all that in the description for you as usual. And, you know, thank you guys again. But getting back to today's review, we're going to be talking about Here Comes Santa Claus. And for you guys, if you caught, I think I did my first impressions of this over back on my Instagram account, which is also, it's at Simply Scented Life. It's with underscores in between there. I do have that information in the description here as well, always, so you can find me whatever platform I'm on. But I did my first impressions of this over there, and I had said how this was probably the most quintessential of all the new fragrances that came out this year. In terms of, you know, what I think of when we think of Christmas. It's really the only tree-focused scent in that core lineup this year. So I had high hopes for this one. It was a standout, you know, on cold sniff. So, you know, how did that play out? Well, we have a lot to talk about here. So I'm going to give you Kringle's description as usual, their scent notes, and then I will kind of talk about what my feelings have kind of ended up being for Here Comes Santa Claus. Kringle describes this as crisp Nordic fir needles layered with aromatic pine resins, crushed woodland herb, and an invigorating wisp of white aldehyde freshness. We have top notes of fir and aromatic, mid notes of balsam and aldehydes, and base notes of wood and musk. All right, so guys, you know what? I feel like Christmas tree fragrances specifically are one of the hardest to review. And it's not because they're necessarily difficult to describe, but Christmas tree scents come with so much subjectivity to them. We all have such different ideas, I feel like, depending on what your Christmas tree experience has been. So if you grew up with a fresh tree, if you grew up with a certain type of tree, for some it's spruce, for something it's more pine. If you had a certain Christmas tree candle that your family always burned growing up, you know, we all have this different idea of what a Christmas tree smells like. So, you know, when I talk about something smelling like Christmas, or, you know, pine smelling a certain way, you know, that might not match up to what you personally consider that to be. So what I think my approach here is going to be is I'm going to kind of give you guys a breakdown of the way I kind of categorize tree scents, give you a couple examples of what I mean by those. And, you know, there's kind of three categories I consider tree scents to fall into. And then there's, you know, it's not cut and dry. Some of these definitely overlap, these different categories, taking different elements from each. But just to give you kind of a general picture of what I personally look at for tree scents, and see if that maybe helps you decide where this would fall for you. So, you know, first category being your classic Christmas tree fragrances. The thing that I think most people sort of consider or picture when they think about a Christmas tree scent. So for Kringle, you know, your Kringle Christmas, that's probably like their most quintessential sort of tree scent. There's also, I think, balsam fir, which is kind of in that category. Then, you know, for Bath and Body Works, your fresh balsam, which is kind of a very sweet sort of tree scent, but probably their most classic Christmas tree. Yankee, you've got your balsam and cedar. Village has a Christmas tree. I think it's just called Christmas tree. But those sort of classic tree scents, they're usually a little bit sweet. They're focused on the tree note. They usually have some sort of musk in there, a hint of a warmth to them. And, you know, that's what I consider like your classic trees. Then, you know, you've got another category here with your kind of more wintry trees. These, I feel like, you know, they could be considered Christmas, but the actual tree note to them doesn't scream Christmas time to me. It kind of falls more into a general winter category. These scents tend to have a little bit more of a woods. They have maybe more of a cool winter quality, like a eucalyptus or some sort of menthol or more ozone. Those, you know, snowy sort of tree fragrances. For example, Kringle's Winter Wonder, I feel like falls a little bit more into that category. is it White? No, Winter Woods. Bath and Body Works has one. I think it's like White Woods. I think I'm getting those jumbled. But Bath and Body Works, the Perfect Winter that came out last year. That was a very cool mentholated tree. I'm trying to think for Homeworks. Snow-tipped pine, maybe. I know there's a lot of those cooler tree scents out there that have a little bit more of that winter-esque element to them. And then for my third category, this one I would consider more of your like wreath type fragrances. So this is where you have some sort of tree element, but it's mixed with a fruit note. It's mixed with a spice note. Something like more in keeping with those sort of mixed scents, like what you would put on a wreath, maybe your cinnamon sticks, your dried fruit, things like that. For example, the new Cypress and Cinnamon, I feel like from Kringle falls into that category where there is a tree, but there's also citrus and cinnamon. I've been burning here Homeworks All Through the House. That's got a tree note, but it's also got a lot of fruit in it. So things like that, you know, I would put into that category. Now, and of course, and I said there's some that overlap, so it's, you know, not cut and dry, but that's kind of where I map things out for me. So that being said, for Here Comes Santa Claus, this is one of those ones that kind of falls between two of those categories, being a little bit of your classic Christmas tree type scent and a little bit of your wintry scent. And for me, it kind of toes the line sort of perfectly. My problem with some of the classic tree scents out there is they get a little bit too sweet and a little bit too musky. With this one, I get that balsam fir, I get those little bit of pine resins, giving it that a little bit of that sweetness, but it's not going too sweet. You know, you've got your musk in there, but it's not super heavy. It's not a sharp tree scent. I get none of that sort of, I hate to say it, guys, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, consider yourself lucky, but it doesn't have any of that cat pee quality to it. My old Yankee fans will probably know what I'm saying when I say cat pee wreath. Yeah, I don't get any of that going on here. It's a very nice sort of pine note, very sort of fresh tree. And then we've got that little bit of, they say like that wisp of, you know, air going through here. We got a little bit of like a brisk sort of winter air element that just adds, I think, a little bit more fresh quality to this candle without being like that heavy eucalyptus or, you know, really menthol type of fragrance. It's not, you know, it's not overshadowing the tree, but more here as a complement. So for me, this fragrance itself is actually really beautiful. I really love it. It's kind of one of those, you know, very palatable tree fragrances. I feel like it's, you know, it doesn't have too many of those like off-putting elements that I hear, you know, people talk about with certain categories. I know a lot of people are really sensitive to those eucalyptus scents. Some are really sensitive to those sweet pines. So I feel like this is really kind of like a happy medium, very palatable, very guest-friendly sort of Christmas tree scent. That being said, I have a couple issues here going on. The first issue coming in terms of performance. So right out of the gate, this was one of the strongest ones, I would say. This probably started in that sort of 7-8 range. One of the strongest of the country candles for sure. And I would say probably around the third burn, I started to notice we were having a little bit of a dropping off in terms of the intensity of the fragrance. And unfortunately, you know, as I kept going, the scent just was kind of fizzling out a little bit from, you know, from where it had started. And I decided to start burning it in a hurricane, which I did from probably about, you know, maybe a third of the way into the candle. And, you know, even that, burning it in a hurricane, I would put the intensity somewhere in the ballpark of a 5, throw at the ballpark of a 6. So like I could still smell it in the room. It just didn't have the same presence that it did at the start of the candle. So unfortunately, I've kind of been noticing, and I know others have mentioned the same, That being a little bit more of a pattern, unfortunately, that I'm starting to see with some of these candles from Kringle lately. I know my cran apple toddy, that one also kind of did a very similar thing. It started strong and then kind of settled down. I've had a few others. I mentioned a little bit of a settling in my butter rum cafe that I reviewed last week. That didn't settle down quite as much, but still nonetheless starting strong and then kind of waning out a little bit. I would say frosted spice, cypress and cinnamon both had a little bit of that going on as well. Not as extreme as this one here, but still, you know, kind of getting a pattern here. The Christmas wreath that came out in limited edition, same thing, fairly strong, and now kind of falling in line with this one here. Christmas wreath, I don't think I'm going to be reviewing here on this channel because it's limited, and I don't think I'll get farther enough in it to review it for you guys before it sells out. But yeah, I'm starting to see that, unfortunately, as a little bit of a pattern here. And for me, you know, I can kind of get on board still with a more of a background tree fragrance, because when I'm burning for my own purposes, I like to layer my fragrances. I like to kind of put a maybe Christmas tree scent in my living room and then have something bakery, you know, something cookie maybe going on in the kitchen, or a spice fragrance, or, you know, something else that would complement a tree scent, just to kind of get that full holiday picture going in my home. I also do a lot of wax melting here. So for me, you know, a background tree scent isn't necessarily a deal breaker, especially if I really like, you know, that tree fragrance. But the problem I guess I'm getting a little bit disenchanted as I review this is when I review a candle for you guys, when I'm burning for review, I am doing isolated burns here. I am only burning one candle at a time. You know, I don't really have this sort of layout that gives me the ability to have a candle going in different rooms and still be able to know distinctly, you know, this is what I'm smelling with this candle. This is another candle. I have little kids, so I can't just put something in a bathroom. You know, I have a 2-story home, so I don't feel comfortable burning something upstairs in my bedroom where I'm not going to be. So really, when I'm burning for review, it's one room and that's it. So I burn one candle at a time. So, you know, when I'm burning this in that capacity and kind of looking for this candle to, you know, carry the home, so to speak, you know, I've just been a little bit disenchanted as that strength kind of came down a little bit. But, you know, after I'm done with this review here, I probably will burn this kind of in, you know, conjunction with something else to kind of give it a little bit more of enjoyment out of it. So for me, you know, not necessarily a deal breaker, but it's something I want to point out for you guys. And I mentioned there was 2 things going on here. The other thing that happened, and maybe you guys know what I mean, sometimes you like something and you really do like it, but then something else comes along and it just kind of, you know, changes your feelings maybe just a little bit. So what happened was Kringle released a couple more limited editions a few weeks ago, and they had a couple tree scents. And, you know, I've been on a mission to sort of try as many of Kringle's tree scents as I possibly can. I feel like I really like the way they do tree notes in general. So I've kind of been giving it, you know, my mission to work my way through their catalog of tree fragrances as much as I can. I've made a good dent in them. I still have a few more I haven't gotten to. But when I saw a couple tree fragrances go up in those limited editions, given that this was the only real new one this year in the core lineup, I said, let me pick up one of those. So on a whim, I picked up, it's now sold out, so I'm not going to review it, but this snow-covered pine. This one, I feel like, you know, I don't really find the, you know, the aesthetic here, the label and everything nearly as attractive as I do Here Comes Santa Claus. So I almost overlooked it. I almost didn't bother because I'm like, oh, I don't know if it's going to be too snowy, too wintry. You know, usually I like a little bit more of a classic tree. So on a whim, I just said, you know what the heck? I like the notes. I'm going to try it. And honestly, you guys, I think I like it better. I think it's similar in terms of a little bit of a classic tree with a little bit of a wintry quality to it, but it's just, I like it just a little bit better. And, this one also has been starting very strong for me. Now, I'm only, I think, about 3 burns into the snow-covered pine. So it very well could have the same situation where it starts really strong and then fizzles a bit. But just, sometimes, like I say, I said I loved the Here Comes Santa Claus in my initial impressions, and I still do. And it's just, I feel like I like this snow-covered pine a little bit more, and I'm so bummed that it's sold out because, if it continues this way, I would love to pick up another one, and maybe it will come back. Maybe we'll see it again next year, but, that's kind of what happened here for me with the Here Comes Santa Claus. So again, I don't want to be a downer. I think the fragrance itself is really, really excellent, really well done. It's just, I wish it held on to a little bit of that strength, had a little bit more of that wow factor, like that carry through the course of the fragrance here. So, that's my take on it, guys. I don't know. Hopefully that helps some of you decide whether you want to take a chance on it or not. I actually feel like the medium jars, I've noticed a little bit less of that sort of fizzling going on with the medium jars, maybe because it's less wax to begin with. But, this actually might be one of those ones that's good to grab in a medium just to see if it kind of holds that strength a little bit better. And then I guess the only other thing I didn't really talk about here was the actual burn performance. I've had no problem. This hasn't been really sooty at all. You can see it very, very clean here, burning evenly. It wasn't fully pooled at the start of this video because I kind of got started before it had the chance, but no problems pooling. And, the overall performance here has been great as far as the burn goes. It's just that, strength factor. So that's my take on this one, you guys. And let me know if you've already picked this up. What's your experience what your experience has been? Do you like the fragrance? Are you having that same dip that I'm getting in the strength? Let me know in the comments. And, thank you guys for tuning in today. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you want to see some more reviews, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. I'm slowly but surely building my base over here, coming over from Instagram. So make sure you subscribe. That really helps me out. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And I will be back very soon with another review.